Hey there friends, welcome back to the channel. My name is Sohum and I'm on a mission to spread peace, love, and positivity through music. Today I'll be reacting to 4 more anime openings and I couldn't be more excited because doing these reactions just in general is so fun for me. I love getting to discover new music, but anime openings, endings, original soundtracks, they are their own unique beast and it's so fun finding all of these unique diamonds in the rough. Which I guess diamonds in the rough implies that, they're in the rough, meaning most anime openings are bad. I don't mean to imply that. I mean diamonds in the gem mine. Yeah, I'll go with that because I'm pretty sure out of all of the ratings I've given, I've only given maybe 1 or 2 songs a 5 or below. So, hey, that is an excellent score in my book. I'm excited to check out more today. But before we do jump in, a massive thank you goes to Amy the Courageous, whose generous support made this reaction possible. And shout out to the family. If y'all are watching all of this together in the living room, I don't know, high five each other or something like that. That seems to be what all the cool kids are doing these days. So let's jump into the reactions. The first anime is called Serial Experiments Lain. Lain is a middle school girl who's extremely introverted and socially isolated. The status quo of her life becomes upturned by a series of bizarre incidents that take place after girls from her school receive an email from a dead student. Oh my goodness. Paranormal activity happening over here. Lain finds Chiza telling her via email that she is not dead but has merely abandoned her physical self. That is more terrifying than receiving a message that says I'm dead. And is alive deep within the virtual realm of The Wire, this anime's internet, itself where she claims she has found God. From this point, Lain is caught in a series of cryptic and surreal events that see her delving deeper into the mystery of the network in a narrative that explores themes of consciousness, perception, and the nature of reality. This sounds so cool to me, and it kind of reminds me of weirdly enough, of that movie Unfriended, where it's like all virtual. I think they filmed that during COVID. So there's that movie, and it also reminds me of this creepy pasta about a similar story where high schoolers were dying, and it was kind of like related to this texting game, and then students who were like next on the list were getting texts from the previously deceased kids. Very scary. I lived a very boring high school life. This whole thing about being like extremely introverted and socially isolated, that was like the extent of my story. And then all of the rest of this is something that happens to Lain, not Sohum. But either way, let's check this one out. This song is going to be called Duvet by Boa. Let's jump in.
And you don't seem to understand. A shame you seemed an honest man. And all the fears you hold so dear will turn to whisper in your ear. And you know what they say might hurt you, and you know that it means so much, and you don't even feel the pain. I am falling, I am fading, I have lost it all.
Wait, this whole ending just bumped us up a few points. Let's go to the beginning of the ending.
Tell me to breathe.
Beginning of the end. This whole thing just bumped it up. Yeah. That definitely bumps us up a few points, because before I had it between high sevens, mid to low eights. We can't be in the sevens with an ending like that. I love how melodic that sounds. This is definitely solidly in the eights, definitely 8.2 to 8.6 range, I want to say. Because all things considered, there's not much going on in this song, but it is very cohesive. I feel like I just listened to a 3-minute song despite it being just 101 seconds there. Soft vocals, really smooth, really silky voice. I wrote this little joke here. I'm in my soft girl era type song, and you just play this song. It feels really appropriate as well for the plot of this anime serial experiments. I don't have any really negative things to say. I think the obvious improvement I could see for this one is I could see a plus 0.02 if we were to incorporate, I guess, a little bit more unique, let's say, chord voicings. Like, give me some weird augmented stuff, give me some diminished chords, make the movement between some of these really melodic chords that are being played a little bit murkier, and I think that would add at least a 0.2. I don't know, I would have to hear how it would sound, but there's already such a great foundation with this one. Honestly, I'm not even thinking it's 8.2 to 8.6. I think it's 8.4 to 8.6. It can't be low 8s. Anyways, I can get lost in that sauce. Let's check out the second one here. So this is from an anime called Kokkoku. The anime is as follows. Juri is a young woman unaware that her family has the secret ability to stop time. See, this is OP. When her brother and nephew are suddenly kidnapped by a cult, her grandfather uses a special stone that allows her and her father to end a world called stasis, where time stands still. Okay, so they can't go back in time. It seems like they can only stop it. So to stop time, you have to enter stasis. As they venture through stasis to infiltrate the cult's hideout, they meet others who can also move through the mysterious world, as well as the strange, grotesque monsters that reside in it. Kind of like a overworld, underworld sort of thing, or a very extreme version of Inception, where the time dilation between levels is just, shot up to infinity. Juri herself will discover the secrets behind the stone and stasis itself as they slowly unfold before her. That's really interesting. Alright, the song is called Flashback by Miyavi. Let's begin.
Coming in, coming out, my wallet me tell me now. No tsunami leather, you can't see me, but you hear me loud. Don't that make you crazy now? Don't that make you crazy now? Never call a second, no sekai wa it's all upside down.
Don't stop my darling.
Wow. Okay, I did not expect what happened to that song after this point. Basically, all of this stuff here. So from the beginning, I had like fat bass up until pre-chorus part 1, which I guess is just all pre-chorus, and pre-chorus part 2 really can just be named to chorus. So hopefully that logic makes sense for what I was going for. Like when I write my notes, I try to like do many things simultaneously, convey all of my thoughts as I'm having them, as well as when I'm trying to interpret the music and the structure and figure out what components stick out to me. So in my assessment, I'm like, man, this super sounds like a pre-chorus. Okay, but it just transitioned into what sounds like another pre-chorus. So maybe that's a pre-chorus part 2. That'll make sense for my labeling. But then when they kick drive it with the drums and it's the same melody, it's like, man, can this even be called a pre-chorus? Because now this is the chorus. So maybe it was just always the chorus and we just ramped on it 4 times in a row. Well, technically 3 times. The third time was the crescendo, and the fourth was just like that diminished kind of outro, that toned down chorus that I wrote. It's not pre-C2 anymore. So interesting structure. I like the fat bass. I like the syncopated percussive hits like I wrote about. I think there could be some more unique melody that like makes this one thrive, and I do think that the movement from pre-chorus to the first, I guess, chorus refrain that we heard could have been a bit more obvious, but I guess it doesn't have to be. You know, oftentimes we think of like choruses as having to be massive and huge apexes of songs like the Acme, but it doesn't actually have to be every time. It can just be something that swells, that kind of lifts up like the ocean and then eventually subsides and moves down again, which is totally reasonable. Not everything has to be just like a straight shot up and massive drop and everything like that. I guess the biggest quote unquote letdown for me was when we had that big dubstep moment where the drop is about to happen and no drop. And maybe that's like a moment in time where like a lot of DJs and artists are like, hey, the drop pretty much always happens. Wouldn't it be cooler if we didn't do the drop and gave us a chill down instead? I get that, and it was cool, and now I want the drop. So I think I have to rate this somewhere in the, again, high 7s, low 8s. I do think the way that the chorus there developed, especially in the second and third iterations, added some points, but not too confident. So I'm going to tentatively give a 7.8 to 8.2 rating, and we will reassess after the following 2. So the third opening we're going to check out is from an anime called Promised Neverland. In a world filled with sentient creatures of different species, an agreement called the Promise was made to end a long war between humans and the so-called demons. So-called. That's a very loaded, potentially, term. The Promise was an agreement where each would live in their own separate worlds. The human world, free from the threat of demons, and the demon world, where human breeding farms were set up to provide food for the demons. This feels like each world has like prisoners of war of the other world. But really, it's just the demons have the human prisoners of war, and humans are just like, this is a demon-free zone. By eating humans... Oh, let's skip something here. Where human breeding farms are set up to provide food for the demons. By eating humans, demons take on their attributes which prevent them from degenerating into mindless monsters. So mindless monsters meaning they would just eat haphazardly and kill humans all the same. I guess that seems worse. In the demon world, a special breeding program was set up under the guise of orphanages. There, a human mother could oversee the children to make sure they grew up as intelligent as possible. These children had identifying numbers tattooed on them and had no knowledge of the outside world. Oh, what does this remind me of? Maybe Insurgent, or what is that movie, Maze Runner? The first one? Sort of. They believed they were orphans, and once they reached a certain age or intelligence, they would be taken out for adoption, but were fed to high-ranking demons instead. This feels so dystopian, and obviously it's an anime, but like I feel like this relative plot, if you were to like replace demon with some other noun and left it all left like some of these other nouns like the same and kept other things different, I don't know. I feel like this happens IRL, to be honest, which is very terrifying to think about. But let's not get lost in that sauce. Let's figure out the song here and what we'll rate it. So this one's called Touch Off by Overworld. Let's begin.
あといくつの自由俺の番だ先頭バッター何が失敗かなんて私の前にどうか線見つけてほらばかりなんてないや星もないやでも願うことはやめやがった後悔恐れ立ち止まる足元忘れたいことは忘れられないこと天国への道は地獄から繋がってるわずかな火花が炎に変わって尖ったまんま手を追い続けてく Go to future わずか数センチだって願った場所に向かって進んでゆく止まるなんて No 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 心に儚ってとしては諦めるそれが未来で何が言える No 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 進んでゆく止まるなんて No 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 no
Interesting one. I wrote a lot about this one. At the beginning, I didn't know what we were hearing. It kind of sounded like we had an acoustic guitar strumming with what seemed to be like a kazoo. And given like the fact that there's so many like modern just programs, like you can create pretty much any sound effect you want to. So I don't know if it is a kazoo for real or if it's something that sounds similar. Maybe there's like an obvious answer that is just way over my currently frat boy looking brain. But where do I rank this one? Because I feel like all of my comments about this were just kind of recounting what kind of happened here. There's moments here even in my writing where I'm like, yeah, this feels a little bit more reserved, but it elevates nicely. So overall, I would say this is like a decent song. I have to like compare it now to the previous one. I don't think it stands out more than the previous one, but I also don't think it stands out less. I would say the big like boon for this song is that big hit into the chorus. So I do think it is marginally better than the second opening we checked out with the with crazy crazy ghost story and the stasis world. Actually, no, the first anime was the ghost story with the high school kids, and then we have the stasis world. I do think it's marginally better than the stasis one. So we have 7.8 to 8.2. Let's take that, copy that, 7.9 to 8.3. I think that's reasonable. I'm trying to qualify though. Do I believe this belongs in the 7s or in the 8s? I'm going to give myself a little bit more time to think on this one. Something tells me that if I have to put this in the 7s, that I have to put the other one even lower in the 7s, and I don't want to do that. That doesn't feel right. We'll figure it out. The last anime we're going to be checking out is from Go Go Loser Ranger. 13 years ago, the villainous army of evil attempted to invade Earth, faced by the Super Sentai squadron known as the Divine Dragon Rangers and their super weapons, the Divine Tools. Reminds me of Power Rangers. I used to love that show. If the kids don't know about it, Amy, you should put them onto a few episodes. It's an experience that everybody should have, kind of like watching the Teletubbies. The evil army, however, was defeated within a year. All of its executives wiped out, and the surviving and almost immortal foot soldiers have been forced ever since to reenact their defeat to the keepers in front of a crowd of spectators every Sunday. It's like a gladiatorial. Tired of the charade and realizing that this amounts to little more than slavery, one of the foot soldiers rebels and decides he will defeat the Dragon Rangers by infiltrating the organization. It's a cool plot. Let's check out the song Preview of Me by Tatsuya Kitani. We've heard songs from Tatsuya before. Let's begin.
修行のベルで僕は舞台に立たされる
Nice
変
one.
わり映えのしない決まった時間場所で
いけ戦え負けないで正義は勝つ負けたら悪者
子供の夢で彩られた大人たちの朝なぜこんなにも許せない受け入れたこれまでの日々を来週の君は負け犬です20年後の君もイカのオーブンですネタバラしてさえ書き換える幕が上がるまた同じオープニングテーマが鳴る予定調和の今日が始まるそれでも続けよう誰のために真昼までループした日々をはみ出した証拠にもな科学予想期待を裏切ってしまえ次回のコクトークを
時間が来たよ今日も楽しんでくれたから次回も同じ日々が来るよ来週もまたこうご期待
All right, well, there you have it. That is another Tatsuya Kitani song. I think just right away, out of everything we heard, this is probably the weakest one. Not much happening in terms of the bass or the drums. I feel like there's definitely just like a lack of rhythm and not necessarily like rigid structure in this one, but there's no punch. There's nothing that like keeps my attention or wants like begs more for my attention in that kind of sense. It is what it is. So I don't hate it for that reason. I don't really hate it. That's like wrong terminology. Like it is cohesive for the sound it's trying to create. Like I mentioned a few times, it's an interesting production, interesting soundscape. It is mixed well. And then you have like these like childlike vocals interspersed within. I know I've made a comment previously that I didn't really prefer childlike vocals. In this context, it wasn't that problematic. I just don't feel like the vision of this song is big enough. Is that like a bourgeois way of saying like not my preference? You know when like pseudo-intellectuals say a bunch of random things and they're like, yes, the oki afterbirth of this wine. Yeah, they have no idea what they're talking about. I would hate to ever make comments like that, so I always like have to second guess myself and ask myself like, where are these thoughts coming from? Yeah, I just don't think this song is enough of what it needs to be. I feel like that is a valid criticism. But let me know what you guys think in the comments in terms of the ratings for all of these songs. I will give my rating. Unfortunately, this one has got to be in the 6s. I know 6s are probably in the 15 percentile, 20 percentile given my rating system, but not a low 6. I think it's like a 6.6 out of 10. That feels fair to me. I think there's many things I could suggest that would make this song better. I think the melody could use some improvement. I think, again, the addition of nice drums, good bass, because they are there, but they're not being utilized properly. That is a very, again, subjective term, loaded term, but I will use it because it is my opinion after all. But yeah, 6.6 out of 10. Not terrible, not great. Where now do we rate everything else? I think the first song that we listened to was like by far and away the best song, interestingly enough. I don't know if that's something you would have thought a priori, but here we are, and we are between 8.4 and 8.6. Why not the casual 8.5 right in the middle? I think that makes a boatload of sense. Then for Kokkoku, I'm actually now leaning, because of what we heard at the end here, I'm willing to like bump this one up, because I feel like this definitely cannot be closer to a 6. It has to be closer to an 8. So I think an 8.1 is in order here. I don't want to erase it. Let's keep it and just add the 8.1 here out of 10. And then finally, with number 3 here, which we have to also assign a rating, I said it's plus 0.1 better, so then we have to go 8.1 plus 0.1 equals 8.2. I know math. 8.2 out of 10 and 6.6 out of 10. Okay, that is our ratings. So I'll go down the list once more. So for Duvet by Boa in the Serial Experiments Lain anime, got an 8.5. For Kokkoku, the song Flashback by Miyavi gets a 8.1 out of 10. Then for Promised Neverland, the Touch Off by Overworld song gets 8.2. And lastly, Go Go Loser Ranger, Preview of Me by Tatsuya Kitani, unfortunately is our lowest rating at 6.6. But again, I'll pass the question off to you. How do you rate these songs? What did you think about them? If you have more recommendations for me, leave them in the comments down below. And as always, my friends, have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one. Hey friends, I hope you all enjoyed the reaction today. And if you'd like me to react to one of your favorite songs, you can hit the link in the description box down below. It is the best way to support my channel. But in any case, your support, your kindness, your comments, your likes, they mean the world to me, and I just wanted to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you. And as always, my friends, have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care, and peace.